Hey, you're now in the den with Dr. Jenn, an open-minded and sacred place to explore sexuality in a comprehensive manner and start thinking about female sexuality outside the box. Do you enjoy traveling to new places that challenge you to live outside the box? Locations that make you feel more alive and invigorated? On the phone today with us, I will be talking with Karen Tate. Karen is a fascinating woman who is an author, speaker, sacred tour director, and radio show host. For over 2 decades, her work has been fueled by her intense interest and passion for travel, comparative religions, ancient cultures, and goddess spirituality. And she is the author of Sacred Places of Goddess, 108 Destinations, and Walking an Ancient Path, Rebirthing Goddess on Planet Earth. Welcome, Karen.
Hi, Dr. Jenn. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh my God, our pleasure. And so you have done a lot of writing and speaking around travel. So I'm curious, why in the first place do you think travel is important for people, and in particular for women to do purposeful travel?
Well, I think it's really important because it really broadens our horizons, especially if we can manage to get outside the United States. And, you know, there's so few people, actually, if you look at the statistics, who even have a passport. But, you know, once you do get out of the country and you travel to other lands, it touches you on so many levels. I mean, you see other cultures, other people, different ways of doing things because of the wonderful archaeological sites and the incredible museums in Europe and Asia, even in the Middle East. You know, we're connected to the past as well as the present. And I think we just sort of get this continuity between what's come before and where we are today. And I think it opens ourselves up to new ideas, and it also sort of reinforces that idea of the human global family.
Oh, and especially like you said, for Americans, I think we can be kind of detached from a sense of history since it's a relatively new country. And
well,
so,
you're absolutely
yeah,
right. I mean, you know, the country isn't that old. We don't have these Iron Age and Bronze Age archaeological sites that we can just jump in the car and go travel
right.
to on a weekend. And, you know, so we lose touch of what's come before. We're isolated by these 2 oceans on both sides of our continent. And we tend, I hate to say it, but we get this sort of not just isolationism, but almost a hubris, you know. It's like we're the only ones on the earth when there are other people, you know, across the globe that have so much to really teach us. And it's so interesting when you get out into the world and you see what's happened in the past and you see these other cultures, how they live. And it just really opened my eyes. It made me feel so much more like, you know, I was a person of the world, not just someone who lived in my local community.
Right, absolutely. Now, a lot of the work that you do is around the sacred. So what do you mean by sacred feminine, and what does it mean to visit a sacred place?
Well, the sacred feminine can be looked at several ways. Some people call the sacred feminine goddess, the divine feminine, Mother Earth, you know, the Great Mother. It is the feminine face of God. You can either come to it from the outlook of a deity, or an archetype, or an ideal, and what it represents are different things, ideas of partnership, ideas of diversity, tolerance, compassion, using discernment when, you know, you have to use power over other people. And, you know, these are sort of ideas that have sort of been lost in our patriarchal culture, which we think, many people think, has led us to where we are today in this sort of dominator culture where it's the the person with the most power and the biggest stick sort of rules the day, rather than maybe the most intelligent or the most enlightened, or the people that can uplift our society. And there's so many sacred places around the world that reflect the feminine face of God, or the sacred feminine. We have them in the United States. I wrote about them in my book, Sacred Places of Goddess, 108 Destinations. But for me, it was really important to see these places in Europe and Asia and the Middle East, because this was where Goddess was worshipped 30,000 years ago, before we even started thinking about a male God. So it really validated this idea of the sacred feminine and a feminine face of God, that it wasn't some feminist fantasy or New Age idea, that people were really worshiping a feminine face of God 30,000 years ago. And when you wrap your mind around that, it really changes how you look at things.
Absolutely. Well, how do you think this is all related to women living sexually healthy and balanced lives, since my show's about female sexuality?
Well, you see, this is what's happened. When the feminine face of God was obliterated from our cultures, from our psyches, women lost that wholeness, that sexuality, because with patriarchal culture, suddenly sexuality, the life force, became taboo. You see, in the earliest times, women were considered sacred because they were the life givers. They were the ones that could bleed without dying. So by virtue of that, they were looked at as very magical and powerful, and men coveted that. Now, you have to remember, in those times, we didn't understand the role that men played in procreation. So a lot happened in a lot of different places over periods of time, but a very quick nutshell answer is, we ended up with a male dominator patriarchal culture that wanted to usurp this power from women. And in doing so, sexuality became unclean. It became taboo. And women, because they were the life givers, they were seen as the life force, and they exuded the sexuality. They were seen as unclean, and what comes naturally to human beings was deemed taboo. And so today, we're left with so many cultures that you see women that can't embrace their full sexuality. You look at Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Mary Magdalene. Today, we're looking at these two Christian archetypes, and we're looking at how we're re-embracing, Mary Magdalene again, because people need to be able to, embrace that sexuality in their lives again for fullness, for wholeness, so they don't have to have this shame about what is just, the natural life force. You look at women in burqas. I don't mean to be controversial, but this is all about men not being able to control their own sexual desires, so they put their women in burqas, and literally hide them from the world. And so, these are all ramifications of this idea that was lost so long ago, that that sexuality was something to be prized and upheld, rather than it becoming unclean and unsacred and taboo.
Thank you. That is such a powerful and poignant perspective to bring to the den, and you've really put it in ancient perspective, which is so valuable. And the last question I want to give you then is our randomly generated gorilla soapbox question. Let's see. What is the craziest thing you've ever done for a lover or a partner?
Okay. Well, you know what? If I can flip this over to my husband, Roy, we've been married over 20 years, and, what pops into my head is actually something he did for me.
Uh-oh, poor Roy.
I remember it was, Easter weekend, and I awoke one morning to him standing in front of me as the Easter bunny. Now, he was standing there with white ears and a bow tie and nothing else on but a little fluffy white tail.
Nice.
So that that was kind of on the one hand eerie and funny and sexy to open your eyes to one morning.
That's hysterical.
We had a lot of fun with it.
Well, and what a great way to turn that question around and out your husband. I like it.
Well, he's the trickster of the two of us, so he's
okay.
actually a little more likely to do something like that.
Thank you so much, Karen. And if you'd like to learn more about Karen, you can visit www.karentate.com to learn more about the work she does reclaiming the sacred feminine and inspiring travel adventures to sacred locations. Sexual fun fact number 344. This is a preview of a new twist to some of the sexual fun facts we're about to head into in season 3. Where in the den are we? Well, today, folks, we're in Japan, and here is your sexual fun fact. What is the sexual popular culture phenomenon in Japan called yaoi? That's Y-A-O-I. It's multiple choice. A cartoon about men who love other men. B, a new reality television show where contestants stick fight while naked. C, screaming your mother's name out loud while having sex. Or D, fetish pornography with young girls wearing masks. The answer is A, a cartoon about men who love other men. Yaoi is an acronym based on Japanese terms that means no climax, no punchline, no meaning. What's most interesting about this graphic novel storytelling is that at times it is sexually explicit and it's primarily drawn by young women and the fans are primarily young women. Fascinating. The Den recommend. So maybe the timing isn't right for you to go off on a vacation, jump in your car or a plane to experience a purposeful vacation right now, or to be spiritually stimulated at a sacred location. What about a staycation? You know, where you stay at home and explore your area and have new adventures with your friends and loved ones. Well, if you're looking to stay at home and still challenge yourself outside your comfortable little box, I want to recommend playing the game The Adventures of Dick and Virginia, brought to you by the folks at GreatSexGames.com. These are clever, sex-positive people who do the popular Sex is Fun podcast, and they bring that same open, fun, challenging energy to this game. The point of the game, get together with a group of friends, draw cards from the deck that request your advice for the couple Dick and Virginia. They're a couple that suffer from a plague of sex and relationship problems, and you will be competing with your friends to see who can give the best advice to such questions as, Virginia is shocked to discover her husband Dick's collection of pornography. Even though the collection is mild vanilla stuff, she is still upset and hurt. If you were Virginia's friend, what would you advise her to do? Or, Dick knows that his wife likes to play with dildos, but he's getting concerned as her collection has grown over the years and includes several models that are much larger than Dick's dick. Though she's always up for having sex with Dick, he's still feeling a bit threatened by her dildo collection. What should Dick do? If this sounds like the type of adventure you're up to with your friends, look for The Adventures of Dick and Virginia at GreatSexGames.com. Contest winner! Winner! We have a winner! In session 100, called 100 Episodes in One Pair of Pants, the sexual fun fact was a question to you, the viewer, about in which session I wore a dress. The first correct response was from a longtime viewer, Christine in Pennsylvania, who was correct with naming episode 58, Empower Girls. And this is what Christine wins: some of our brand new Den merchandise. If you know what you'd tell a friend who's threatened by a dildo collection, visit me at DrJennsDen.com or email me at Jennifer@DrJennsDen.com. So what's on the top of your sacred destination list? And be kind to yourself. But it won't look as fashionable.
Oh, you look as a Southern belle.
Oh, my bra snapped. It's
And nobody did a thing.
It's broken.
And we have
You know, I'm gonna fake it. I'm just gonna pretend it's snapped together. Let's do it.